Welcome back to math class. This is Mrs. Witt. Today we're going to be finding the greatest common factor, and we're going to be doing that using the list method. So I want you to get warmed up by completing the multiplication chart. We're going to be able to use that as a guide on the homework that we're going to be doing, all of the practice and choice board things that we're going to be doing. You'll find this very helpful. So go ahead and fill that out in your notes or take a screenshot of it if you're not using the guided notes and fill this out. All right, let's start with a quick recap to make sure that we're all using the same language. We know that a product, the product is the result when you multiply, right? So when we're multiplying numbers, the result is the product. And the factors, the factors are what is multiplied to get the result, or to get that product. So let's think of an example. If I said 2 times 3 equals 6, I could say that 2 and 3 are factors of the product. Oh, that doesn't look good at all. There we go, of the product 6. Okay, so the factors are 2 and 3, the product is 6. So what does it mean to have the greatest common factor? Well, it's really just as simple as what it sounds like. What does the word greatest mean? The word greatest we think of as the biggest, right? Or the largest. Common. We know that common means that it's shared or the same, right? And we already know what a factor is. We saw the factor on the page before. Those are the things that we multiply. So when we're talking about the greatest common factor, we want to find all the factors of whatever numbers we're comparing, and we're going to compare factors of different numbers to find the greatest one, or the largest, or the biggest, the largest number in common. That's all a GCF is. All right, in elementary school, you made factor trees, and you did the prime factorization of things, and you took things all the way down to like 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Well, this time we're going to factor some things, but we're going to use a different method. We're going to use the list method. So in the list method, what I do is I just start listing out all the factors that could go in it, and or that do go into the number, the product, and then I can kind of see them in a very clear way to compare them. All right, so let's start with 8. I've got 1. I always start with 1 because everything 1 times itself is always going to be a factor. So 1, and then after 1 comes 2. Well, does 8 divided by 2, is that an even number, a number with no remainder? It is. What about 3? 8 divided by 3, no, that has a remainder. That comes out with the decimal, so I don't want to include that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, wait a minute. I noticed that 4 is over on this other side of my list. So that means I can stop right there, because otherwise I'll start repeating and going up the other side. So let's move on to our next number, 24. I've got 1 and 24. 2, let's see, 24 divided by 2 is 12. 3, 24 divided by 3 is 8, so 8 times 3, that works. 4 times 6 works. What about 5? 24 divided by 5, that does not come out evenly, so I'm not going to write 5. Next is 6. Well, I noticed that 6 is over here on this side of the list, so that means it's already been considered. All the numbers bigger than 6 are considered, so I can stop there. without repeating anything. Finally, my last number, 1 and 50. 2 times 25. 3, does 50 get divided by 3 evenly? Nope. What about 4? 50 divided by 4, no, that doesn't come out even. 5, yeah, 5 does. 5 times 10 is 50. 6 would have a remainder. 7 would have a remainder. 8 would have a remainder. 9 would have a remainder. And then I'm back at 10. So I know I can stop because anything higher than 10 is going to be on that right side of the list. So now I've effectively listed out every one of the factors of those numbers, okay? So I could organize it like this. I could say that the factors of 8 are 1, 2, 3, no, not 3. 3 is not on my list. 1, 2, 4, and 8. The factors of 24 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. See if I listed out all my factors of 50. 1, 2, 5, 10, 25, and 50. All right, so I now have these lists of factors that I can start comparing. So what I'm headed towards here is the greatest common factor, and we talked about what that means. The greatest common factor from those numbers on our list, well, here I've listed them out again, and I just need to find which ones are in common so I can find out which ones are in common, which one are the biggest. Well, I can see that they all have a 1. See, all of them have a 2. And just a side note, I like to start with the shortest list because you can kind of check those numbers faster. So now I'm looking at 4. Well, 8 has a 4 and 24 has a 4, but 50 doesn't, so I can't circle 4. And then let me see 8. Let's see, 8 has an 8, 24 has an 8, but 50 doesn't have an 8. Okay, it looks like my factors that they share in common are 1 and 2. So the greatest common factor, well, which is bigger, 1 or 2? The greatest common factor of 8, 24, and 50 is 2, because the greatest factor that is common for all 3 of the numbers is 2. All right, so let's practice this one more time here. I'm going to give you an opportunity to do this work. If you're just watching this as a video, hit pause and work this out. If you're on Edpuzzle, there will be some prompts, some questions that come that pop up and help you reason your way through this. All right, so if you have figured out all the factors, I'm looking at all of these lists of factors, and now it's time to just find out which ones they have in common. So go through and look and try to find the common factors. All right, so I circled all the common factors, and it looks like all the factors of 12 can be found in the other ones, the bigger ones. So I'm going to look at the biggest one I've got, let's see, is 12, because I've got a 12 there, a 12 there, and a 12 there. So I know that the GCF of 12, 36, and 48 is 12, because it is the largest, biggest, greatest, however you want to say it, factor that all 3 of those numbers share or have in common. All right, so it looks like to me you guys have enough information to get started on your activities. We're finding the greatest common factor. You can use the list method. Let's see, let's wrap it up. The list method, what does the list method help us do? Well, it helps us list all the factors of a number so that we can compare them, to find the greatest. And you'll probably see me just calling it the GCF, not the greatest common factor. What are factors in the product? Well, the factors multiply to get the product, right? So in that, so like here, let's say I have 2 times 3 equals 6. These are my factors, and this is my product. I could say, you remember there's an equal sign in there, so that means they're equivalent. So I could say that 2 times 3 is the factored form of 6 because they're both equal to 6. But on the left side, I'm multiplying something. I'm multiplying those two things together, so they are factors. And on the right side is what I got as a result. It's a single number. It's simplified. That is my product. So now common factors, well, that's simple. Those are just factors that are shared. They are shared by different numbers, different ones that I'm looking at. Generally, when we're looking for common factors, you'll be given the number that you're looking for common factors with. And then the GCF, again, I just want to remind you that is the greatest common factor. And I want you to get really comfortable with that because this is something you're going to use often from now until, I don't know, forever. It's something that comes up in math again and again, and you'll use it again and again. So remember, GCF is the greatest common factor. It's just the biggest one shared by different factors. All right. Happy math. Get at it.